Good morning, everyone. I, Sakshi Saxena of BCA Second Year, finds immense pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries, teachers, as well as students to this panel discussion on coffee with corporates. Today, we have an amazing panel on the trends of IT, where we will be talking about the big trends we need to keep our eyes on that could directly impact our lives. Some of the latest IT trends are AI and machine learning. We already know that AI is already known for its superiority in image and speech recognition, navigation apps, smartphone personal assistants, ride sharing apps, and so much more. Machine learning is the subset of AI. It is also being deployed in all kinds of industries. AI, machine learning, and automation jobs, including robot monitoring professionals, data scientists, automation specialists, making it another new trend. The next latest IT trend is RPA, that is known as robot process automation. Like AI and machine learning, RPA is another technology that is automating jobs. RPA is the use of software to automate business processes such as interpreting applications, processing transactions, dealing with data, and even replying to emails. The next latest IT trend is 5G. The next technology trend is 5G, where 3G and 4G technologies have enabled us to browse the internet, use data driven services, increased bandwidths for streaming on Spotify or YouTube, and so much more. 5G services are expected to revolutionize our lives. 5G services are expected to launch worldwide in 2021, with more than 50 operators offering services in about 30 countries by the end of 2021. Our goal today is that what comes along with something, a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy that you can apply to be more successful in life. So, here is the format to give you an idea of what to expect. We will take a few moments for briefly introducing each of the panelists and tell a little bit about their background in the industry. I will end the conversation asking questions that draw out some of the high level trends we should be thinking about. So, today's panel discussion dignitaries are Dr. Manju Gupta ma'am, Dean Academics at IMS Noida, Mr. Bhaskar Das, Chief Technical Officer at MCN Solutions, Noida, Mr. Nikhil Chandel, Client Partner at Infogame, Mr. S. Ravi Kumar, C. Hash Corner MVP, Principal Architect, Ayukul Technologies Private Limited, Mr. Kamal Rawat, Software Architect at Microsoft India, Mr. Rohit Gupta, C Hash Corner MVP Program Director at C Hash Corner, Mr. Atul Gupta, VP Events at MCN Solutions Noida. Now, with due respect, I would like to introduce Ms. Preeti Rajvanshi ma'am. Ms. Preeti Rajvanshi has a total work experience of more than 10 years in the field of academics, administration, curriculum development, assessment, and evaluation. Her forte is in the area of cloud computing, big data, cybersecurity, new age technological usage and development, and computer languages. She is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure certified. She is an assistant professor and HOD of BCA and MCA program at School of IT IMS Noida. She has organized several panel discussions, webinars or seminars, conferences and workshops. Now I would like to welcome Ms. Preeti Rajvanshi ma'am. Over to you ma'am.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
sorry, I was not actually the co-host, so I'm not able to unmute myself. Thank you so much, Sakshi. And
Thank you,
this
ma'am.
is the second season of Coffee with Corporate. I welcome all the dignitaries over there. Atul sir, thank you so much for providing us this opportunity and the plethora of guests. And firstly, I would like to say one thing that when we discuss in the first season that what will be the futuristic IT trends in 2030, but in 2020 we got the pandemic, and because of that we were so automated now that जो जो चीजें हमने वहाँ डिस्कस की थी हम ऑलरेडी वो चीजें सब अचीव कर चुके हैं. लाइक वी नेवर थॉट ऑफ ऑनलाइन कॉलेज एजुकेशन, वी नेवर थॉट ऑफ एनीथिंग लाइक online work for teachers. Like I have never worked for online from last 10 years of my service. But yes, because of this pandemic, we were so much into the automation that now we can say that 2030 will be a new boost for all of us. So I would like to welcome Bhaskar sir, Nikhil sir, S. Ravi Kumar sir, Rohit sir, and all the dignitaries over there. Manju Gupta ma'am, Rajiv Gupta sir, our president IMS Noida. So Sakshi, you can start now, and we are surely having so much of discussion today that what would be the next and the new boost for these IT industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Bhaskar Das, Chief Technical Officer at MCN Solutions. Mr. Bhaskar Das, Chief Technical Officer at MCN Solutions Noida, he is experienced solution architect with a demonstrated history of working in the information technology and services industry. He is skilled in agile methodologies, databases, client server architecture, optimization, program management, and client relationship. He has strong engineering professional graduated from Rani Durgavati Vishwavidyalaya. I would like to welcome Mr. Bhaskar Das, sir, to enhance us with some knowledge. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you very much, and thank you, IMS, for conducting such a nice and great, useful session, which is a coffee with corporates. I actually, never heard it a program, never heard a program like this before. I know that that's a second session, but I just heard that time. This is really very useful for all the candidates, all the people, all the students who are into the IT fields and they want to make their career growth in this era. So good morning everyone, first of all, and I would say that this last year pandemic, that uh, gives us a tremendous learning, and as Preeti ma'am was also saying that everyone is learning a new things, and this pandemic was actually a force upgrade to everyone. If you notice that the people who doesn't know about the anything on live sessions and chattings or maybe anything which is related to technologies, they are also upgraded to themselves. you know a lot of other mothers and parents, they wouldn't know about how to do that online conversation, but due to that pandemic, they everybody has to work from home. They have to attend their school and colleges from home. So the great push, it was indeed was a very positive. Although many of us, many of the different people, they have lost and I wish very soon. Uh, but everything we should be looking into the positive way, and that is what we are thinking. This pandemic is really very useful. I mean, useful in terms of learning, the great push. That's it from my side. Sakshi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, our next dignitary is Mr. Nikhil Chandel, client partner at Infogain.
Thank you, Shakshi. Hi, everyone. Sakshi, do you have any information to share? All
Mr.
right.
Nikhil Chandel, client partner. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, please carry on, Sakshi. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Mr. Nikhil Chandel, client partner at Infogain Noida. He is experienced business consultant with a demonstrated history of working in the information technology and services industry. He is skilled in management, business intelligence, and recruiting. He is strong consulting professional graduated from DBC. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Nikhil Chandel, sir, to enhance us with some knowledge. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Sakshi. It is real pleasure, and I am really excited to be on board with Young India, actually, who is aspiring for tomorrow's world, and they would be a great contributor to the country and to the growth of our country. Thank you so much again. Let me take a couple of minutes to introduce myself. I have been into IT industry or the software industry from past 20 years now, right? And most of my work and most of my role has been attributed towards managing the customer, getting new businesses from customer, managing existing deliveries for the customers, right? So it has primarily been on the customer side. And if you see any organization, typically from the software services, there are two key important functions, which one on one side we have deliveries, where we deliver the products, deliver the services to the end customers, and on the other side there is a team which interacts with customers in terms of commercials, or in terms of managing sales, or managing the overall relationship, or managing the overall show. So it has been now 20 years in the industry, working with various large IT companies as well. Like I had a long stint working with HCL, and then I had a long stint working with Cisco WebEx, and then I had a long stint working with Wipro as well. And currently I'm working with Infogain, that is a software services company, US based company, managing couple of accounts as an account manager. So for the young ones who are into the panel, I would like to explain what account management or the client relationship looks like. You manage the entire relationship from the customer perspective, wherein that involves the getting new customers onboarded, managing the relationship with the customers, managing the entire revenue related to the accounts which you manage, giving the sales projection, revenue projection, maintaining the margins of the accounts which you manage. So that involves the work while you manage business or manage customers. I am really excited about the topics what we chose in the current forum or the current discussion, and especially for the AI and the machine learning. I think they are little hyped, especially for the newcomers or the new entrants in the industry. They think everything is going to be automated and everything is AI, or if you don't work in AI, that you are working on something of less importance. That's not the reality, actually. So in some way, these two things are really hyped for the newcomers, especially. For example, if I were to say, or were to explain it in a simpler terms, all if you take a sample size of 10 aspiring candidates who are looking for a job in AI or the machine learning or the data science, only one would get into this area, and rest nine would be working in the regular technologies of the software development, right? So that's the scenario right now. But yes, if we think about 5G striking our lives, the lot many changes we have to or we are going to see in coming future, in terms of healthcare and in terms of education, and in terms of how we see the television world, or how we consume the content. In all these three areas, there's a lot new changes which we are going to see in coming years. So that was it from my side, Sakshi. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you
Sakshi.
so much, sir. for sharing your experience with us. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. S. Kumar, C Hash Corner MVP Principal Architect, Ayukul Technologies Private Limited. Architect, Ayukul Technologies Private Limited. Mr. Ravi Kumar is an experienced IT professional with over 15 years of broad IT services experience using Microsoft technologies. He has extensive experience in defining architecture, designing and developing desktop, web, and mobile solutions for complex business scenarios. He is the founder of the ZAM Techies Meetup Group and an active member of the local developer community involved in increasing awareness among developers by presenting business cases and sharing insights at various events and conferences. He also plays as mentor and advisor to startups in deciding their product and solution architectures. The article here are sourced from his blog. Now I would like to welcome Mr. S. Ravi Kumar, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for this nice introduction. So, I think you have covered almost everything about me. I have visited the last session also, last season of Coffee with Corporates also, and I think I'm the only one who is consistent in both the seasons. So, I won't take much of your time. And I would agree with Nikhil here about AI and ML being overhyped, that everybody wants to just join that AI ML bandwagon. And it's not necessary that if you want to become AI ML person or AI ML developer, you just have to do it with Python. So right now, everybody is hyped with AI ML and Python. I am a big proponent of C Sharp. And this, as you know, this event is also organized by C Sharp Corner. So I am very big proponent of C Sharp, that whatever you want, whatever kind of application you want to develop, you can develop it using C Sharp and associated technologies. So I also run a YouTube channel. If you see there, I create most of the videos related to C Sharp and .NET technologies. I am Techie Rathor everywhere, so you can see and check. And I also basically gives suggestions, tips, and question answers to budding technologist and anyone. If anyone wants any kind of career guidance, I also give that kind of things. I have a weekly series called Techie Tuesdays, where I answer to people's career and tech related queries. So those kind of things, some small self promotion. And also, as I said, that we don't need it's the hypes are basically created by certain amount of people right now. If you say right now, what is the current hype going on? The current hype going on is Clubhouse. I don't know how many of you guys are there on Clubhouse or not, but many people are running that, okay, we want Clubhouse invite, we want to join Clubhouse, because there are people, Elon Musk is talking about that, Naval Ravikant is talking about that. So these are just created hype, which basically phase out with some time. So the similar thing is with AI and ML also. Probably it will going to be stay there, but it will increase gradually. It won't be like that suddenly everybody will be jobless and all those things. Okay, so that's all I think from my side. I think I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Kamal Rawat, software architect at Microsoft India. He is a founder of Ritambhara Technologies. He has been expertise in machine learning, image processing, algorithms, logic building, mobile app ecosystem, etc. He has conducted various seminars, workshops, etc. He has published various books like C in 7 Days for Coding Interviews, Microsoft Certification, Microsoft Certification, Scratch programming, dynamic programming for
Hello.
yes, sir.
Sakshi, I can't hear you. Yeah, now I can hear you. Uh, should I start? I missed last probably couple of I think 20 seconds of what you said. Hello.
Yes,
It
sir.
seems
There seems to be some lag from my side. Should I start?
Yes, sir. You can start.
All right, all right. So thank you for having me here. Right, you have told you have already introduced me. Just a small correction. I am not working with Microsoft anymore. I was working with Microsoft till October. So in October, I left Microsoft, and now I am full time into my own entrepreneurial venture. Right. So I probably will, kind of skip away from my introduction beyond this, right? Because this event is not about me. What I wanted was that, since uh, so I'm thinking that what is it that I can bring to the table so that that is valuable to you also, because you guys are very fresh, you guys are doing BCA. So next 5-10 minutes whatever I have, I will try to make sense to you guys and give you something which is relevant for you guys, right? So you talked about emerging trends, IT trends, right? So let us look at the trends from 2-3 different perspectives. First, let us look at these trends from the point of view of individual software engineer, right? Like I was a software engineer. I am still, I would like to think of myself still as a software engineer. You guys are also aspiring software engineers, right? So when I say software engineer, I include everyone, developer, testing, everything, right? Second, let's look at it from educational institute point of view, because I am into education a lot, right? And I agree with most of the panelists that education has changed a lot with this COVID-19 scenarios. So basically this COVID-19 scenarios have kind of preponed a lot of things which would have happened maybe sometime which would have taken a little longer time, right? But more than COVID-19, it is also the new educational policy which is staring at us. Plus the world education scenario has already changed even before the pandemic, right? So we can't say that pandemic is only responsible. Pandemic has just speed up the process of change. That's the only thing in my opinion. Second, another thing is that we should also probably look at these IT trends from the point of view of corporates. So I have been associated with Adobe, I have been associated with Microsoft, I have worked on the world-class products, like I was in the PowerPoint team last time. And I can tell you with my first-hand experience that AI is here to stay, right? AI is here to stay, and AI is here to change everything that you can see now today, right? So for a software engineer, what is it that will change? For a software engineer, there are a lot of profiles which have become irrelevant now. Microsoft used to have a profile which was called software development engineer in test. Microsoft does not have that profile right now. Adobe used to have QAs, right? They used to have testing people, and testing people were either black box testers who are just doing black box testing of the product, and there used to be white box testers, and there used to be gray testers, right? Adobe don't have any of these three profiles now, right? So all this is because the world scenario is changing, right? So whatever little testing Microsoft has, that is outsourced to the other service industries, right? So service industries are seeing the impact, right? The service industries, the big tech giants of India, have ignored a lot of things for decades. They have not invested anything, with all due respect to all of these service industries, they have not invested much in building the products, right? And India has already missed that train, right? India don't have any product, any big product, right? Anywhere, right? We may say that all the big CEOs are Indians, but that is it, right? So we are like contract laborers, I'm sorry to use this term, but we are like that, who are building products for others, right? So if you look at it from country point of view, the situation is really alarming, right? So we have already missed the train, which is the product building train. That train is already gone. We have already missed the internet revolution, right? Who is consuming how much amount of data? That is not the internet revolution. Internet revolution is that, what is the share of India in the global internet economy. And I'm sorry, individuals have a lot of share, right? Like I had a very good job, so I had a big share, right? I still have Microsoft shares, I had Adobe shares, right? But India as a country does not have a very good share in this whole internet economy. China has, right? So China has, US has, right? But India doesn't have. The next thing that is going to happen is the next big change which is going to happen is AI and machine learning. If you look at it from job point of view, then I agree with the panelists that probably not much is going to change, and AI is hyped because looking at it from job scenario. But looking at it only from job scenario, that whether there will be more jobs for a particular tool, or whether there is more job for Python or C Sharp or Java, that is very shallow analysis, right? Very, very shallow analysis. We should look at it from a global perspective, that technologies come and change, technologies come and go. Nobody is hiring you for any technology anymore, right? Big company are not testing your knowledge of Java or C Sharp or C++, anything, right? So if you are learning these technologies, it is not that you are preparing yourself for future. You are wasting your time, half of the time, right? I'm not saying that you should not be learning technology. Ultimately, technology is the track on which your entire career train will run, right? But looking at but thinking that technology will take you anywhere, that is probably overhyped, right? I'm sorry to use a little harsher words, but these are my opinions, right? So this is basically what is the scenario right now. So service industry is already changing. They are in a panic, right? And they are in a panic. So Wipro, when comes to campus placements, now they are coming for campus placements for R&D also. They were not coming for campus placements some 10 years back for R&D, right? Now they are coming for R&D because the service industry as a whole is changing. And according to me, if you ask me, service industry will probably become irrelevant after 10 years, right? Because most of things will get automated. As I told you, the testing profile, or entire testing profile, which includes at least 50% of the 50% of the workforce of Microsoft, has become irrelevant today, right? And Microsoft is not hiring any testing people, right? A very small bit of it is there, which is outsourced, but not in-house testing profile anymore. All right. So this is the first thing which I want to bring to the table, right? This is my opinion. I'll be happy to be corrected, right? But I will probably not shy away from saying that this is a big thing which is staring at us. We should know how to tackle that, right? The second thing which I wanted to talk about is regarding the educational institutes. Just give me a second. Jaldi se rakhe chale jana. All right. So the second thing which I wanted to talk about was education, right? So education as we see today, and I'm talking only about IT education, right? Education as we see today is going to change, right? And it is going to completely change, toppled, bottom up, right? And it will change in a way that so for example, Google, right? Google does not have a requirement that the person who is entering Google has to be a BTech or MTech or a PhD, right? They are happy to hire any +2 person, or any person who is just high school pass, as long as he is a good as long as he can justify, as long as he can crack the interview of Google, right? So a lot of IT companies are removing the restriction that a person should have certain educational qualification. This is one thing. Second thing is that because of this internet thing, students are exposed to the best of the teachers across the world. So a teacher who is working in an institute, or the institute as a whole, should really think hard that what is it that they are bringing to the table, because their degrees will not be relevant probably after 5-10 years. And this discussion has started 10 years back in all the universities across the world, all the big universities across the world, right? So be it Stanford or University of Pennsylvania or Texas, right? So they are having a serious discussion that what is it that we are bringing to the table, what is it that we are giving to the students, so that we can justify that you come and take the degree from us, right? So this thing has not yet changed, but in my opinion, in next 10 years, this is going to completely change. right? There will come a very small players who are going to enter and who will focus on the real education. They will not focus on anything superficial, right? They will focus on the real education, and they will focus on the education which has a little longer shelf life, right? Technology doesn't have a shelf life. Today you learn an AI tool, maybe after 1 year or 2 years, that tool will become irrelevant. So if you are talking from that point of view, then I agree that these technologies will not stay, right? But the core computer science concepts are here to stay, right? Algorithms, data structure, they are here to stay, right? So my suggestion to you guys, because you are students, right? So you must be thinking that you must be getting a lot of noise, which is that what should you prepare, what should you not prepare, right? How should you how should you prepare your career for the future? So my suggestion to you as a senior, right? And I have around 16 years of experience. I have worked in the best companies of the world in IT, and I have worked in the best of the products. I was architect of the Photoshop. I was architect of PowerPoint. I was working as an architect in OneNote, right? In MS Office, right? So I'm telling you as a senior, and as a mentor, right? That focus on core computer science concepts. Don't focus on technology, right? You should be learning technology, but take it as a topping of the pizza, right? If there is no base of the pizza, then toppings is not important at all, right? So first focus on the crust of the pizza, right? First focus on the base of the pizza. The base of the pizza is the engineering that you are doing, which is the networking concepts, the operating system concepts, the DBMS concepts, the algorithm, the core algorithm concepts, and this is what will take India forward, right? Because we have been missing this from our IT education for such a long time. I have been saying this for last 10 years. Earlier nobody used to listen to me. Now at least people are listening to me, because these now they are looking at coding interviews, these system design interviews, and now I don't need to say that coding is important. Earlier I have to even justify that coding is important, and don't learn these technologies, focus on the coding, right? So if I have to sum up, then things are going to change for individual, things are going to change for educational institutes, things are going to change for corporates, things are going to change for nations also, right? And we should be prepared to accept these changes, and we should be prepared to thrive in these changes, right? So whenever change comes, it also brings a lot of opportunity, right? So as an individual, we should see that what is in this change for me, right? And we should just grab that change, right? So not every change is bad, right? So it'll definitely be good change, right? So as an educational institute, as a corporate, as a small business owner like me, as a student, as a software engineer, we should look at what is it in this change for me, rather than ignoring that there is no change, right? And we should just grab that change and have a larger goal as such. All right. So with this, probably I'll stop. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing useful information with us. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Rohit Gupta, sir, C Hash Corner MVP, MVP Program Director at C Hash Corner.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are staying safe and at home. Thanks, IMS, for calling me again for the second edition. I was fortunate to be part of the first edition as well, which where we came to the IMS and talked about how we are thinking like what will be the trends in 2030. So guys, let me give an introduction of myself. As Ravi sir said, personal promotion, self promotion. I also put that. So I'm a cognitive robotics enthusiast. So those who don't know what is cognitive robotics, uh, many of you may have seen Transformers or may have seen Indian movie Robot. So the technologies used to make that is something you can understand to be cognitive robotics. And apart from that, I'm an Intel AI Edge IoT scholar. So Intel AI Edge is a you can say a platform that Intel has come up with so that we can fine tune the neural networks, computer vision application, NLP, and all other things we can do with that. So since I have a background of AI, I will be talking about AI, like how AI is giving the new boost to the futuristic trends and what we can think to be the trend in 2030. That is the next decade, I think. So before I start, let me give you a disclaimer, or you can say a warning or something like that. That whatever I say is valid if and only if there is no 180-degree change made by anything like the corona made, like in the last version of corporate, whatever we discussed, we are doing it now within less than 1 year. Like due to corona, we are doing some of the things that we envisioned for 2030, like around 30, next decade, and 10 years or something. So last year around this time, we were saying that we will be working from home, and the structure will be there in India proper, will be popularized, or the maximum people will be doing work from home by 2030. And whatever is safe, fortunately or unfortunately, we are not working from home. Like today I'm in office, but maximum time working from home. So, and I think many of the eminent panelists that are there, they are working from home. The teachers are working, maybe working from home. So yeah, so we are working from home. And talking about the education side, I would say that we said that online teaching or the personalized teaching would be taking over offline teaching after some 5 years down the line. But now you see every third student is studying online. According to the Business Wire report, a very big organization, this Business Wire, the Indian digital education market business, like I'm talking about the business market that is in Udemy is there or GradeUp are there, it will be 36,000 crores by 2024, and that is in Indian currency, 36,000 crores. And you can envision it to be 15 crore per person. Like if you take 120 crore as the, you can say, population or something. So yeah, that is how big the industry will be. Now, one thing that I can envision is that we will have education on go in 2030. Like schools, colleges, universities will function on a personalized basis, which means that the student will have the freedom to take lectures when he or she wishes to take. By doing self-paced courses as we do online, like maximum courses that we do online are self-paced courses, because like we we do that on our pace, on our convenience, whenever we want to do. You want to do it now. We want to study 1 hour today, then 10 hours tomorrow. So that's a self-paced course I'm talking about. More and more students go towards online education because it is inexpensive in terms of both time and money when it compares to the offline. As a student need not to take break from his or her current life. A senior manager aged 40 years can do a course at his or her convenience, submit the assignment, and even take a test. And for doing all this, he or she need not be going anywhere. So his or her time is saved. The person can learn on side by side. Like he can be doing a permanent job and then as well as learning. He will be doing an MBA. Like there are various organizations that do MBA online. In offline, the person had to take break from from his or her current routine. I would say travel and devote a specific time frame of the day for learning, like you guys are doing by going to colleges. You are enrolled in a proper full-time course. You are devoting a time frame of your day for going colleges and all the things that you do. So as people say that there are two sides of a coin. So both the things have their advantages and disadvantages. For instance, there is no routine that one needs to follow to learn online. Hence, people like me may not study or take the course seriously. Yeah, I am a person who would be very comfortable with doing offline or regular courses. I really don't like doing self-course courses. I started with some courses, but I would saying like publicly that I don't do that. I have left. I would be doing with some dedication, maybe some downtime. We live in a society where we are groomed to study in an instructor-led environment. Till class 12, we have to wake early, go to school, study for 7 to 8 hours, come back home, and do the homework. And then later, we have exams. In college life, also we follow the same format. You guys are following the same format. So, in my point of view, we will see an amalgamation. Amalgamation is a combination, I would say, or combination of online and offline education. With this combination, we will have the best of both. And with this, I envision a change in the attitude of the students as well, as they will learn based on the learning by implementation approach. Currently, what we do is like we don't implement what we learn. Uh, Learning by implementation approach is followed in skill development. You maybe heard about Skill India. So all the courses that are done there, they are learning by implementing, whether they are doing some electric bulb or making something. So that is why the industry also needs people who have implemented what they have learned. Yeah, so that is the first thing that I could envision. And since I said that I will be talking about AI, like how is that changing the thing. So yeah, AI will play an important role in making this happen. AI will make path-breaking changes, steps. They will be giving some explanation to some concepts that are not currently explored. For having both teachers and students holographically present in front of each other. Currently, we are talking on video call, but holographically means that without the video stream, it looks like the person is in front of you. You may have seen that in Iron Man movies, like there is like the latest movie. So on the hand, there is a hologram that is coming and they are talking. So that is the holographic image I'm talking about. School students would be able to perform science experiment in school without going to school. From that, they would be sitting at home and then they can perform those experiments in schools only. So those people who think that board for board exams or something, you have to go to school. So yeah, if we are improving holographically, we would be having so much of this. One of the most common problems that we face, or I personally face, is air pollution. I think all the people who are living in Delhi and NCR would be well aware of that. People with respiratory disease have to go outside to work and to attend lectures. In the next few years, we would see a medical device that will be able to provide clean air on the go, the clean air in the go. Like, I mean, like we have air purifier for home, like we have a big air purifier kept at home for cleaning the air of the home and all. We would be having an AI integrated personal AI purifier. Like we can, it would not be a big one. Maybe you can have it connected or something, or you can wear that like you are wearing a neckband, something like that. Now talking more like I talked about how we are doing with education and with health also I talked about. Now let me talk about something regarding to corporate. Like earlier, it was necessary to come to office. Like now, but after the Corona period or whatever, still lockdown period or something, it is not compulsory. It is up to us. It is completely optional. Offices are open. It is up to the employee to go to the office, work there, or he or she can work from the home as well. But the ultimate point earlier, like, we have group concept and procedure-oriented programming. In procedure-oriented, you see that how we do is more important than what we do. So now the mindset of people have also changed. Earlier, people were following the procedure-oriented program, like you have to come to office, you have to sit for 8 hours, do the work. But now the mindset of companies has also changed. Now work is more important than how much time you go to do the work or where you're sitting and doing the work is important. So you can say from earlier we used procedure-oriented, now we have moved on to the object-oriented. Okay, now is it clear, sir? Maybe, ma'am, can tell me that the sound is now clear or not?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay, guys. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, so coming back to the thing. So since people are working from home, I'm sitting here, and you are sitting at your home. So the main problem that initially also on the call we faced was the bandwidth issue. I think the host has some. So that we have some issue or something you can say. So that's because of that you can say that we are having some issues and doing all the things. So I envision having a AI engineered or AI based solution which or AI managed devices in your device, like AI managed system in your devices. So how will that go? So that will adjust your bandwidth. Like suppose in the phone, like suppose in my phone, at a point I am browsing a video on Instagram and I'm browsing a video on YouTube. The bandwidth requirements are completely different because on Instagram you need less bandwidth, but on YouTube you need more bandwidth. So that AI device can manage that because now what is happening that when the speed is coming to be 1 Mbps, the same 1 Mbps is going to the Instagram and you're playing that video with that 1 Mbps. When the data pack overs, that is 128 kbps, so it can manage that thing. Same thing happens when you are watching something on your phone and then you are watching on your TV. So excuse me, just a minute, I think I need something. So yeah, so the system will train based on the general watching habit your watching habit, working habit, right? With seamless bandwidth experience. Like you will be having a bandwidth everywhere. Like nowadays, Sisha Corner is also organizing some virtual conferences. It is organizing live events. So, and in that we need bandwidth. We have like just in January only we did a SQL conference, SQL virtual conference, a very big conference that lasted for 2 days. More than 30 speakers from eminent and Microsoft people and all the people came and view that. So if I want to go there, my bandwidth limitations came. So I was not able to view it completely. Next thing, like I think this is the most important thing that everyone should be very much thinking about, that is that everything is in on network and is controllable with just one command. But when you give a one command and then your device will start working corresponding to that. Even the cars has a digital controller in them. Person just needs some basic network knowledge to take control of a car and make you go to jail by harming anyone. It is that much easy. So I see people getting more aware of what they want from technology and how they want to use that technology. Recently, when WhatsApp made changes to its privacy policies, people had a very different point of view, which I had never seen before. They were concerned about the data, they were concerned about their privacy. So that is a very good mindset, and I see that we will be thinking more. Like we will be having laws, regulations are there, and more things will be there. And things for this, cybersecurity experts are employing AI to come up with smart firewalls. Smart firewalls are which can detect how big the threat is, what can be the corresponding things that can be taken, and are working to find algorithms and ways to handle Trojan horses. As they seem friendly, but they can make your system hostile. Like handling Trojan horses are difficult because they generally comes as a friend to you, friend program to you, and then behaves, then changes their behavior, can corrupt your files and all the things. So yeah, we are working on that as well. Now I think even Uh, Sir also told about Elon Musk. Ravi sir talked about this. So, yeah, so recently I on the social media I saw a lot of buzz of Tesla coming to India and hence making the beginning of an new era for electrical vehicles. Tata is also planning its electrical vehicles soon, and it will be a very great, big thing with Made in India thing. So we're really watching about that. I am a proud owner of an electrical scooter. I ride an electrical vehicle, so I'm very much happy with that because. And as you people have just heard that the petrol has hit 100 rupees, centuries has made. So I'm very much away from that. So I don't need to spend money on petrol and diesel. So I envision a transition from diesel or petrol vehicles to electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicle will follow the path as the Android phone followed. Like earlier, they were very costly when they were first introduced, but now you see cost ranging from few thousand to lakhs. Like Apple phones are from that costly, MI, and then all the phones are so cheap that you can buy it. Even the Jio has come up with some phones that are very cheap with all the things that are needed for a modern person. So the same way, the electrical vehicles will also be very cheap. It will be affordable for a lower middle class person as well, like a person who has not that much of salary or who has many liabilities. It will be so affordable that he can also own that uh, electrical vehicle. And since I am talking about electrical vehicles, I would like to talk about solar energy as the electricity cost has increased significantly, uh, like it, they were very less in like 5 to 10 years down the line now, since the use of electricity has increased very, so the cost has also gone up very significantly. They are going exponentially, like some down the line they were X, now they are 10x. Yeah, more and more people are therefore opting for solar panel. Even if you say in my locality or you would say in new cities, solar panels are something that is gaining a lot of craze. Like all the people are going towards solar panels. Companies like Samsung, Delhi Metro are already using solar panel as an alternative to electricity. They because uh, their electricity requirement are very big. So solar panel helps them with the generating cost saving and all the things. Many Indian national highways are illuminated by solar panels. You see solar panels installed on both the sides of road. Even at the Kalamdi Kul, Delhi, there are some solar panels installed. Noida Sector 52 metro station, there are solar panels installed for all the pathways are there. So this is that companies are using because they can afford to spend lakh, 2 lakh, 2.5 lakhs a day. But it is not very economical for homes. Like I was into this buying that the cost is very high. So I envision having an economical solar system for homes. It will make having solar power home that will first of all save your natural resources. Secondly, less pollution will be there and all the things. Solar panel is very much into that. So also now I have talked about various things. The first thing that I talk about is that is AI. So AI, since I'm more of an AI interested in AI. So I envision having laws talks about AI security. Like currently, AI security is a very big thing. I don't know how many of people have heard about China making programmed babies. Like they had come up with a system, you can say AI system that could hamper the genes in when they are conceived. Like they could just make up superhuman, just programming. So people are coming with that, but there are no laws. People are fearing that yes, robots will take the go over the world, kill humans, but they don't think that there are no laws. There is no governing community that can govern it by who should make what. Like we have on in biological weapons, like we have laws for biological weapons, we have everything. When the corona came, for whole world banned China. But when China made this, no one banned him. Like there were no people to come up with that. So there is a person known as Tech. So he is very much he has organized he has security conference. So he is working on that thing. People should be building responsible systems that can be beneficial to humans. We will see artificial emotions being injected. Like there's a this this is what I really want to see: artificial emotions being injected in household machines, or you can say household robots. So this is all about tech, technology, AI, and something. And since I'm a person who loves guiding people and giving yarn, like those people who don't like, please forgive me. So we talked about futuristic event. So remember one thing: future is what we create. Future is what we create. We have to create a future. What I am doing today, we have to create in future. We will be creating. Suppose I am sitting here programming something, and that will result in something. So yeah. So make sure you work on yourself and become a great Indian and a good human. Because no technologies, we can call it can have what we call insania. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are infinite possibilities of action that we may take. Like during these 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes that I have taken, I have spoke more than 1200 words. So there are 1200 permutations and combinations of understanding what I'm trying to say, what you are trying to understand. Hence, never think that you are wrong or you are understanding wrong. There are no wrong and right in this world. You may be hero at one point or one instant. You will be hero of your own story, but you may be a villain of some other person. Like the last thing I would just say that suppose you are going to cut a tree to make papers, but you are a hero for people who are using paper, but you are a villain for all the animals that are living on that tree, or the people who take shelter in the uh, summer. So more of the story is try to understand why and what the other person is trying to say, and try not to hurt him. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing us such useful information. Now, I would like Mr. Atul Gupta, demonstrated history of working in the information technology, startups, and service industry. He has organized various national and international conferences and executing colleges and corporate lead tech events. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Atul Gupta, sir. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Sakshi. Good morning, everyone. And guys, my name is Atul Gupta. I'm working with MCA Solutions and Shisa Corner. My passion is organizing events and conferences, right? So it's the matter of joy and pleasure that IMS Noida is organizing second edition of Coffee Corporates. So I especially thanks and Goel and entire team of IMS Noida for conducting this event. And as we all are live and we are watching, we have a good expert panel today. And that's it from my side. So please tight your seatbelt and thank you from my side. Yes, Sakshi, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Manju Gupta ma'am, Dean Academics, IMS Noida. Dr. Manju Gupta is Dean Academics at IMS Noida. She has delivered trainings on various IT technologies like Java, web development, digital marketing, basic and advanced Excel, project management, etc. She is offering performance driven leadership and training experience in the areas of IT operations, business creation, team structuring and management, build strategic alliances, drive distribution, etc. Her key expertise areas are business or strategic planning, business analysis, operations and delivery, industry relationship management, team management, training and development, strong interpersonal and presentation skills, leadership abilities, persuasive communication. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Manju Gupta ma'am. Over to you ma'am.
Thank you. So first of all, my heartiest congratulations to all the speakers who present today to give an insight about future trends of IT. See, we always discuss, I mean, I think during the last Coffee with Corporate, we also have discussed about there is a big gap between the industry and academics, right? But how this gap has to be bridged. So this gap can only be bridged when, industry and academic come together and be in hand. But there are a lot of challenges, because we always promote to the student that they should do something which is as per the industry demands, but somehow the mindset of the student is still the same, that they have to go through the university curriculum, and university curriculum is frankly speaking not up to that standard or level, I can say, which actually is happening in the industry. As Kamal has already mentioned, that whenever we hire any of the student, we do not look into the expertization, but yes, we look into the fundamental concept, or maybe the logical things which is happening. In there with the students. But students are still, I feel that the 50% students are still in that mindset that they have to earn only the degree. So specifically when you are entered into the IT sector, be it doing BCA or MCA, your focus should be changed. Your focus should not be to get the degree, but yes, you have to have the skills. So I think this pandemic has taught us a lot of new things, that how we have to become more and more IT oriented and techno savvy, because entire crisis we came and overcome through only with IT. But I was going through an article where it was clearly mentioned that what would be the new technological trend in 2021 or maybe 22 or up to 2030. See, we were talking about 5G network, but 5G network is already doing a lot of things into India specifically. Autonomous driving we are looking for, the empowered edge and the democratization of technology, human augmentation, and specifically into the healthcare industry and hospitality. So these specifically healthcare industry, this industry read note of automation. So when we are talking about automation into the healthcare industry, then of course IT people has to come forward, and these are the youngsters who can do something very good into this particular area. That how see, everybody is talking about artificial intelligence or maybe big data or data science, but sometimes I really feel that the students are very much confused what this artificial intelligence is all about, what are the application of AI, how this AI can leverage the future. So such kind of things are always lacking in terms of theoretical classes which always happen in the classes. So I feel that more and more project has to be done into the classes, for which I really requested to Atul also that some of the projects we can do in joint collaboration with IMS Noida, where a lot of good students are there, but they always lack mentors, specifically mentors like you people, those who are into hardcore technicalities. So I think we can more discuss about this, that how our student can be associated with the projects and they get more and more insights about the technology, actual functioning of technology. Because entire 3 years in MCA or maybe in BCA, they go with Java and C and C++. Even they are not proficient with Java, they are into the core Java, they are not knowing about the struts or Hibernate and how this more practicality in Java is happening, right? Some of the students are doing training outside, and some of the students are taking help from their faculty members, but they are not knowing about the data policies, they are not about working on to the memory markets or automation. So everybody is talking about automation, but how this automation is happening, what are the practicalities and actual implementation by using this technology. So this is actually missing in terms of institution or maybe university classes. digital debits, we are talking about digital debits, we are talking about medical upgradation. So how this medical upgradation has to be done? Government is taking a lot of initiative, government is also working on papers, I think, but then IT giants has to come forward to give suggestions to the government also, and of course with the help of these students. So I think this is all about, you all have spoken a lot of good things. I was going through the entire session. Kamal, Rohit, and Raviji, Mr. Bhaskar has given a lot of insights to the students about what is the expectation of recruiter, how they have to prepare, what is the expectation from the students, specifically in terms of the industry perspective, and how they have to prepare themselves. So this was a very fantastic and insightful session. I would be really thankful to all of you who spare time to give insights and knowledge about these things. Thank you very much. So we are really wishing that you are coming in the evening, and we are having a award ceremony for the students. And luckily this year, 5 university toppers are from IMS Noida. So out of top 5, top 4 are from IMS Noida. So this is one of the great news which we wanted to share with parents, and of course with industry people also, and of course with our students. So for those students, we have organized, this award ceremony today in the second half at 2 o'clock. So you all are welcome and invited for the ceremony. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks to all the dignitaries and teachers for spending time with us and enlightening us with the useful knowledge. Now we have some queries. Our first query is, do you think robots will cause unemployment or loss of jobs in the future?
Shall I start, Sakshi?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, everything has a positive and a negative aspect. If you look into the negative aspect, and that's how the question arises, do you really think that, the robotics and the robot will replace the humans by the jobs? So I would say, in fact, these robots are being made by the humans, right? And as long as more of the robots are required, the more the all right, so just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So my video is actually troubling me a lot. So what I'm saying is, more the requirement of these robots. So basically, the more the humans will be making it. So I foresee that day when the robots, but that will take some time. But still, then we would require a human efforts to create that robot. Again, once the robot is there, how that program will work? So that program will definitely be made by the humans. And when the computer era was started, and everybody was thinking like, this computer will replace lot of jobs in the market. Did that happen? No. So
I think Bhaskar is disconnected somehow. So see, Sakshi, I think I would like to add it here. It seems like the person who has written the question is pretty much seen all the series of Terminator movie. So that it looks like that they the question is is pretty much inspired by Terminator. But frankly speaking, taking jobs, as Kamal has already told, that jobs are changing. It will not take your job, but it will kind of inspire you, or it will kind of you can say push you to break the boundaries, change your boundaries. Like as Kamal has said, that RPA testing, automation is coming in all the testing scenario. Like right now, a couple of days back, someone asked me that question, that is career in testing is dead. So I replied to him that the career is testing is dead for manual testers, not for automation testers. So if you are into automation testing and you are, so it's kind of basically AI and ML will kind of motivate you to push your boundaries. It will not take your job completely. It will, of course, take your job if you are lazy and doing things manually. It will give you the opportunity to push your boundaries. So I think that's my opinion on this thing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Our next query to our dignitaries are: what's your opinion about children playing violent video games or doing misuse of technology?
Am I audible, Sachi?
Yeah, you are audible, Bhaskar.
So the
Yeah,
query
thank you, Ravi.
is: what's your
Thank you,
opinion
Ravi, for
about
putting me in the
children
last.
playing violent video games or doing misuse of technology?
See,
Anyone?
Sakshi, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, your voice was not clear.
The query is: what's your opinion about children playing violent video games or doing misuse of technology?
Yes, certainly. If some technology or anything new enables you, there is a chance to get it misused as well. And moreover, apart from misuse, there is a lot of time which is being spent on the digital platforms by childrens. So that is not actually a healthy thing, or not a right thing in terms of their personality growth, or in terms of their building up thought process about the world. Because there is a huge difference between the virtual world and the real world. Nowadays, kids and the youngsters have started spending a lot of time on the mobile apps and the video games and the virtual world. So that is taking a bit far off from the reality and the real world, wherein the need and the demand is to spend more time with the people, spend more time in understanding your friends, your families, and how the entire business or entire ecosystem operates. It all revolves around the human thing, or the human thought process. It's not about the virtual world. Virtual world is just the enabler to the human thoughts and the entire ecosystem. So yes, in a sense, it is definitely taking a lot of toll for the newcomers, for the youngsters, or for the kids. They're spending a lot of time on these platforms. So we need to see, it's our responsibility, being a senior people, we need to cut their time on these platforms in the digital world. That's the only way we can protect them to some extent, though. However, as far as misuse is concerned, misuse is of all the technologies is always there, be it the mature people, be it the employees, be it kids, or be it youngsters. So we can't really help on the misuse. It's on us. How do we utilize or use the technology? We cannot stop technology growing, because they are helping us a lot in other areas. So benefits are a lot, misuse is less. But yes, time spending for youngsters and the kids on these platforms should be brought down. That's really taking a big toll on the upbringing of youngsters.
Yeah, actually, being a mother of 5-year girl, it is our actually mistake to give kids phone in the early age, that so that we can do our work and they can be busy in the phone. So if we are giving them this opportunity, so they will use it for the whole day. And we were used to feed them with the mobile. We were used to make them study with the mobile. So it is our problem as well, and it is our mistake as well. So we need to understand this.
Ma'am, you just nailed down the point. That's where the issue is.
Yeah.
Actually, we have made them habitual of using mobiles or these technologies, just
Yes.
because of taking shortcuts, right? We thought it is a shortcut to give a mobile phone to my kid so that I could do my work. But actually, we have spoiled. So this first, this needs to be improved in us and parents, and then
Yes.
obviously we would protect our kids from
And that too,
overuse.
COVID help us to make it more useful.
Yeah, it can be many
Because we are in
reasons.
the lockdown, and kids as well, and we are
True,
working from home, so we need to get them busy
true,
with the device only.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am.
Sakshi,
Now,
just a
yes, sir.
suggestion. Can you can you please explicitly call out who this question is to? I mean, who the question is, right? So that there is
That
less.
this is the open session. We didn't make any question for specifically,
All
because
right.
these are the questions for general discussion, and students are raising these questions because they are going to work for these companies, and those who are working in this scenarios, like if we talk about the online learning platforms, so they are using devices only, and if we are giving devices to the kids, so everything is the general, so that's why we didn't mention any name.
Yeah,
Hope
yeah.
it
These are general knowledge only. But
yeah.
otherwise,
We'll call out a name. Okay.
there is
Yeah.
little hotspot in that sense.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So our next query to Rohit Gupta, sir, is, so nowadays as we all know that more and more people are, especially office workers, don't find much time to go out for shoppings. So usually they prefer online shopping. So do you think we need to worry about identity theft or credit card number theft while buying things on the internet?
Yes, definitely we should. So I would say yes, we should be worried about that because credit card and all the things are very much they are very necessary. Like everyone is using, we are in the digital age. We are also digital India movement. Everything is going online. So yeah, we should be because as I was talking about what in the data privacy, I would say, but it's better than used.
Kamal, sir, can you please answer the query?
My answer will be see, I mean, a fear of theft is there even when you take cash with you, right? So if you are taking cash with you and if you are going for shopping, then also there is a fear of theft, right? So there may be some pickpocketer who is behind you or something like that, right? So it is just that these things are changing, right? So if you go to the market and you take cash, then you make sure your cash is safe, right? Either if you are in a crowded area, then you will put the cash in some other pocket, or maybe you will have it safe, right? So similar kind of safety measures we need to take for online transactions also. And as these things, as people are adapting to these changes, they will start learning that how is it that they can make those transactions safer, right? So this is a natural process. Whenever something changes, it's a natural process that it has to go through. But yeah, the fear of online theft is real. I mean, it's not that it is not real, and a lot of people are facing that also, right? Just that with multi-layer of security, with all those things, maybe it will be a little less, but still, everyone need to right, everyone need to be aware of certain things, that they need to be more cautious about how they are handling their money. That's the only way, right? But fear of theft is there everywhere, right? So even if you are taking your cash, then also there is a fear of theft. Then probably the fear of theft is even more, right? So if you are carrying maybe let's say 50 lakh rupees cash, then the fear of theft is even more, right? Then when you are carrying only a card, right? But in both cases, it's up to the individual, right? So individual need to be trained to how to handle that, right? So normally these things takes a generation change for the change to seep in. So the newer generation is basically growing up with these online transactions. So with that newer generation, the fear of theft will be much less. Sakshi, you're there?
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so our next query is to Mr. Atul Gupta, sir. Sir, do you think technological advances affected our life? And if yes, then how? Can you please explain?
Yeah, hi Sakshi. Technology is really helping us a lot because students like kids and be like our parents also getting advantage of technology. So this is true. Technology is giving lots of comfort and benefits to us.
So I want to add a small thing in there, right?
Yes, sir.
So obviously technology is helping, right? So I am into education, so I will probably talk more regarding education, right? So in education, obviously technology is helping, right? Now a person sitting in a very remote village can also learn from a professor of MIT, right? So in that sense, technology is helping a lot. But there are certain things which which cannot be online, right? So the personal interaction of a teacher and a student, right? When you are when you learn by just observing the other person, right? So that thing probably still it cannot be replaced by technology, right? So I think obviously technology will have a paradigm shift in the way we are consuming things, right? So there are certain things which for example, if you are imparting a skill, then that skill can be imparted using technology, right? But if you want to impart knowledge, that is very difficult to impart using technology. You understand the difference between skill and knowledge, right? So skill is that you just want to say that this is how you can use the for loop, right? Knowledge is much more wider, right, in that sense, right? So for knowledge you need to live with the person, right? So that's where the experience comes into play, right? So I have learned a lot of things just by being with a lot of good developers around me, right? Just by being with them, right? So just by having lunch with them, just by being with them, the way they are talking, the way they are conducting themselves, the way they are approaching a problem, right? So those things becomes difficult to transfer online, right? Those are more personal things, right? The love of the mother is very difficult to transfer online, even though mother can create videos and all those things, right? But yeah, for skills at least, so that's what I said, that the things are changing, right? So there are some things which will become irrelevant, right? So imparting skills and having a value in imparting skills, that value will go. So if my only value is that I provide skills to other people, right, then some player will come who will provide the same skills online better than me, right, and I will become irrelevant, right? So I have to see that what is the value addition that I am bringing to the table, right?
Thank you, sir. Okay, so our next query is to Mr. Bhaskar Das, sir. Sir, the query is, do you think modern technology reduces or increases stress?
Yeah, Sachi. So definitely, this modern technology that we are talking about, and I can certainly relate these technologies into, in conversion of our, the pandemic situation. So everybody is actually, having these devices, gadgets, all these rays and everything, up to you. So earlier we used to, say that, keep away your kids with the mobile phone because, that has a radiation. So, but nowadays everybody, has to be, involved, and that's, I would say what, like, mandatory things to be happen. The people who are not, in fact, involved on these, they have to be involved. And the bigger problem is the health, and because the screen time for those mobile devices, either your laptop devices or desktop, has been increased tremendously. So that affects a lot of the part of our life, and uh, see, eyes stress, mental stress, and everything. That also gives a part, like, we are leaving behind our emotional quotient, as Kamal said. we can, knowledge that, we can transfer that skill, but that touch, that, the feeling and the everything that cannot be, imparted over there. So that's definitely increasing, part of that stress, I would say.
Thank you, sir. So, our next query is to Mr. Nikhil Chandel, sir. Sir, can you please explain how technological changes impacted the tourism and hospitality?
Yeah, thank you, Sakshi. See, technological changes have brought in revolution in every industry, and especially the tourism and hospitality. If you see, nowadays the world is totally democratized. At one click of your phone, you can know the rates of hotels anywhere across the world. You can, customize your own tour packages. You have more visibility into what you are getting into, right? Earlier, if you are, I hope I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier, if you were to plan some trip, you need to take references and ask a lot of feedback from your friends, from colleagues, from relatives about the place, where to go, where not to go, which hotels to opt, how to commute, how to transport. There was so much of effort in planning a trip that it almost took an year's time to plan a trip. Nowadays, at the, your trip is at a click away. You can just spend some 10, 15, or 30 minutes surfing on the one of the top travel sites, and you can quickly customize and plan your trip. You can add your members who are on the trip. So it has brought a real revolution in the tourism and hospitality, actually. And the today's word is the word of social revolution, where everyone knows about everything. Nothing is hidden, no rates, no policies, no feedbacks, right? You can exactly see how the washrooms, how the toilets, how the beddings would look like, what would be menu you would be getting in, what times you would be getting in, what foods would be served. So you can see so much of minute details while planning your trips and tours. So it has really propelled and or expedited the way people were traveling and were planning. This segment has totally revolutionized because of the technology.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
I just want to add here one thing, right? So this is
Yes,
not
sir.
related to hospitality industry, but this is related to the fact which Nikhil is saying, and I just want to add on to it, right? So basically, technology is a big leveler, right? So technology is providing a level playing field to everyone, right? For example, I went in Uttarakhand and I booked a homestay using Airbnb, and that homestay is in a village of Uttarakhand, right? It would have been very difficult for that person to make himself discoverable had it not been because of the technology, right? Because you will not be going to the village looking for a hotel or a restaurant, right? Right. But now, because of the technology, that person can make himself more discoverable to the outside world. Let me give you one example from our field, which is technology, right? There is a there was a student by the name Anudeep Nikanti, right? And that student was studying in a very modest college of Vizag, Vishakhapatnam, right? That college was, not even half of what your college is, right? Right, building wise, infrastructure wise, or that wise, right? So, and that student did not have a great academic record. So, he was not even 70% in his 10th exam. He was not even 70% in his 12th exam. And he was doing BTech there, right? So, what I'm trying to say is that technically, that student was not even eligible to sit in the written test of Infosys or Wipro, right? Because they have a cap of at least 70%, because they want to bulk hire, right? Not that anything against them, right? Right. That student got an offer from Google, right? And that student joined Google in his own terms. So Google was giving him Hyderabad office. He said, no, I don't want Hyderabad location, I want Zurich location. And Google has to succumb and gave him Zurich location, right? How was it possible? Now this is relevant for you guys also, because you are BCA students, right? So what he did was that when he was in his second year of BTech education, then he got active on these online competitive platform, right? So at that time, lead code was not there. He started solving online problems on CodeChef, right? And he got so interested and so involved in that he started participating in every damn competition, right? Now Google conduct an annual competition for students, right? So you guys should focus on that, right? And this is what I wanted, this, that there should be something relevant for you guys, right? So Google conduct an annual test for students. The test is called Kickstart, right? So it is as good as Google coming to your campus. And it doesn't bother, whether you are a BTech student, MTech student, BCA student, MCA student, or PhD. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you are able to excel in that competition, you will get noticed by Google, right? So this is how that student got noticed at Google, that, he's a real good problem solver, right? And Google gave him an offer, right? So the good thing about these companies is that these companies, can negotiate up to any extent if you are valuable to them, right? So Google called them to their office, and then he went through multiple rounds of interview, and he performed exceptionally well in those interviews. I think this was around 2015, or I don't know the exact time, right? So he performed exceptionally well in those interviews. Then Google offered him, the computer, the software developer position, software engineer position, and he was given the Hyderabad location. They thought that Hyderabad is in India. He is also Indian, so Hyderabad is near Vizag also. So maybe he'll prefer the Hyderabad location. The person says that no, I want Vizag. I don't want Hyderabad location. I want Zurich location for whatever reason, right? Google did not have a vacancy in Zurich, right? They created the vacancy for that particular person, right? This is how serious good people are. When I say good people, means that people who are doing serious business, right? So if something is valuable to them, they will grab it at whatever cost, right? So what you have to do is that you guys have to make yourself valuable, because ultimately you will be selling yourself in the market, right? So if I am going for an interview of X company, I am trying to sell my skills and my knowledge to that X company, right? So rather than cribbing about this company is coming to the campus, this company is not coming to the campus, this is my institute, I am not from IIT or MIT, whatever, right? So rather than cribbing about them, work on two skills, work on two things. First is that make your skills and knowledge as sharp as the best in the world, right? So you should not be competing with your peers. You should be competing with some graduate from Stanford University, right? So I have people from Stanford University in my classes, right? I recently I had a batch of University of Pennsylvania students, and I can tell you for sure that those are not any different from you guys, right? Just that the little bit of approach is different, just that their alumni connect is very strong, and just that it is not that they are spending more time than you guys in learning, right? They probably may be spending less time, right? But the thing is that whenever they are spending time in a way that that time really counts. In India, I have seen that students tend to waste their time, and it's not anything against the students. It is that they are not getting the right mentors. People who are coming from industry, sometimes they give good advice, sometimes they tend to confuse them, right? So I have seen engineering students who are wasting their time learning soft skills, thinking as if these soft skills will take them anywhere, right? Now soft skill will obviously help, right? It is not that soft skills are not helpful. Obviously they will help, right? But at what cost you are learning those? You are learning those at the cost. If you are learning those soft skills at the cost of your basic engineering, then why are you doing engineering, right? You should think about it, right?
Yes.
I have seen that students are and it is not that students are doing it out of, on their own, right? Students are getting advised to do that, right? And they have precedences that when a company comes, that company is asking only the logical question. That company is not even asking technical questions. And that's where my problem was with these IT giants. They have wasted the entire generation, but that is a separate story, right? So when you are joining engineering, you are paying a lot of money to those to engineering colleges, right? And you are coming with the focus that you want to learn technology, you want to learn engineering. So for next 3 years or 4 years, depending on what degree you are in, you should focus on learning engineering, the core computer science concepts, right? Now, if I am running a company who is teaching JavaScript, right? I will market JavaScript. I will market, I will try to grab as many clients as possible for my technology, right? Students should be intelligent enough to kick them out, right? Because more than JavaScript, if you are learning JavaScript, it is good. I'm not saying, I've taken JavaScript as an example only. If you are learning JavaScript as an additional thing, it is very good, very, very helpful. You should be doing that. But if you are learning JavaScript at the cost of your engineering, at the cost of data structure algorithms, all those things, then you are kind of preparing yourself for a 10,000 rupees month job, whereas you could have prepared yourself for a 1,50,000 rupees per month job, right? So students should be very judicious in the choices that they make. They should know how to say no, right? They should learn Sam, Adam, Dandabhed, all those things. Earlier, these 4 things were part of the curriculum at a very lower level. Nowadays, our students are so shy in saying no. Our students are so shy in ridiculing the other person, right? So whenever a person comes who is offering you something which is not relevant for you, you should ask tough questions to that person. And you should ask so much tough questions that that person should not have courage to go to any other college and sell the same thing. Because he knows that, if I go to the college and if I'm selling a relevant thing, then the students will be asking tough questions. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for replying the query in detail along with the live example. Now, our next query is to Dr. Manju Gupta, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please explain how do IT change the education process at universities?
Yes, what are you asking? Are you asking that how we can change the university process, right?
Yes, ma'am. Education process at universities.
See, specifically, if I talk about IT now, so it is very much lacking in the university that university do not revise the syllabus very oftenly, right? Because industry is changing very fast, but then the syllabus, what the syllabus students are doing, that is maybe 5 years old or 7 years old. And that's too, the syllabus who design, there should be a very good combination of industry experts also while designing the syllabus, because I see this syllabus of this IT applications of MCA now. When I look at this syllabus of IT applications, so what university has thought, university has given everything. They have given JavaScript, they have given PHP, they have given this cloud computing. I mean everything one chapter. So does this really take really to the student anywhere? I feel there is a big doubt in my mind. So this is because of that the lot of expertization is missing in terms of industry expertization, I can say. Of course, they are academic experts and they are doing fantastic good in terms of their own academics. But then specifically into IT domain, a lot of industry exposure is required while designing the curriculum also, which is lacking. So I think this is the point which need to be taken care of while designing the syllabus. But that this is not actually in our hand, so we only can submit our request to the university, which a lot of institutions do, and they are trying also to give more and more inputs about from the industry people. But somehow I think this require more changes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. So our next query is to Mr. S. Ravi Kumar, sir. Sir, do you think does the development of IT change teaching method and tools?
Yes, of course. It has changed a lot. And it has opened larger avenues for the student. It's only that you have to be more, as Kamal has already said, that you have to be more judicial, and you need to be, I think a student should more analyze about his things, his goals, what he wants to do, and what are his goals and all. But yes, of course, in the IT revolution has revolutionized the teaching and trainings mechanisms and methodologies. It was earlier also, before COVID-19, YouTubers who are basically teaching or training about technology, they are getting views, they have courses available there. And right now also there are many online courses available on all the topics whichever you want to learn. And you can, as Kamal has said, that you are sitting in Vizag or you are sitting in remote area, what you need is just an internet connection and a laptop or a PC, and you will be able to learn from a trainer or a professor from Harvard or professor from you can say MIT, because like Harvard has also open source, or I can say that freed many of their courses. You can do many free courses from Harvard, you can do many free courses from MIT. So yes, of course, IT has revolutionized teaching and training methodologies, which we need to catch on. But as Kamal has said, that students need to be more analytical. They need to analyze their goals and what they need to do along with to achieve that goals. So those kind of things they need to think about. They need to talk with their peers. They need to talk about these things with their seniors, and they need to clarify on the things that what they want to do, and then only go for the things which are there, the facilities which are there over the internet.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Now, our next query is to Mr. Rohit Gupta, sir. Sir, how do you think how organization, can you please answer how organization should deal with corporate strategy where technology changes rapidly? Sir, you are not audible.
Yes. Yeah, now is it audible now? So yes, I would say yeah, very good question, but I think Bhaskar sir should be the right person to answer this because he has been then handling those things. So I think Bhaskar sir should be the right person.
Okay, sir. Bhaskar sir, can you please answer the query?
Yes, yes, I can definitely, this. So I just repeat your question is that, if I understood well, is that how organizations should be, deal with the corporate strategies, right? With the technology rapidly changing. So definitely, the technologies are being, changing very rapidly. And one should be, if they have to be, player in in the business market, they have to be themselves changing the as fast as the technology is getting changed. So they could provide the learning and training sessions. They can encourage their employees to go for the certification, all those new technologies. They should go and learn. So most of the companies I saw that in the low or mediocre level, they do not enough encourage their people to learn more. So I would say, just like in a C Sharp corner, they have, they are conducting events very often. They are conducting a lot of, different online conferences. So all these kind of learning sessions has to be, people should be joining in. They should be knowing about what is actually currently running in new trends as in technology. And rather than spending entire 8 hours in a day for that company's work, they can even spare 1 or 1.5 hour or maybe half hour only to learning new technologies, new things that is actually add on to that company. So rather than, if company should not thinking like, I'm losing my 1 hour because employees putting up only 7 hours and 1 hour as a learning, that is an add-on. So employee, he's getting he's giving his 7 hours as well as 1 hour for the new upcoming businesses. And definitely if they are getting a more businesses and projects, they should try and jump into the new technologies. That's how these are the couple of points which the corporates can take over.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks to all the dignitaries for replying all our queries. Now it's the time for vote of thanks. I would like to welcome Dr. Manju Gupta, ma'am, for vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am. Manju, ma'am.
So I already have thanked to them that they actually, I mean, this is really very great. Then, I mean, you people come forward and, give your valuable suggestion to the student how they have to prepare. So I've never seen such kind of combination somewhere else, because MCN is always very much eager, and they are very, happily accept the invitations whenever I used to tell them that we are looking something like this for the students. So this is one of the greatest thing which you people are doing for the community at large, I can say, because such kind of gesture is very much required specifically from the industry. And of course, academic also has to come forward to invite more oftenly to the industry people, so that students should actually get the real insights, because sometimes it happens that whatever we are learning in theory, it is somewhere not matching with the practicalities, and it always happens. I think people will agree with that, because whenever you practically walk into the labs or maybe systems or computers, so it really lacking what they are going through in the theoretic things. So this year we are also planning that some of the syllabus we will be covering through in this industry experts, but somehow being into a university institution, that we have to follow the norms also, that 80% of the syllabus has to be covered by the core faculty only. But then I think this need lot of improvisation and of course changes, because I feel that specifically into MCA curriculum, CBC again we say that it's a UG subjects, but then in PG where student has to directly go into the industry after 1 or 1.5 years. So I think 40% syllabus of the entire MCA has to be covered with the industry experts. So I was requesting to Preeti, who is the program coordinator for this School of IT, that this time let's give some of these syllabus and content to the industry people only. Say for example, any of the subject, if I talk about Java, so then I think 2 or 3 units, there are 5 or 6 units, but then 2 units we can give to the industry people, so they can come and deliver the sessions. But somehow we've also faced the challenges whenever we do such kind of engagement. So industry people are also not able to come from Monday to Friday, because institution is running from Monday to Friday for 5 days, and of course they are available on Saturday, and they always accept the offer for Saturdays. But student mindset is again the same, that they want to come only for 5 days. So this time we will try our level best to motivate, encourage the students also. अगर आपको कुछ पाना है तो थोड़ी मेहनत तो करनी पड़ेगी, तो उस केस में सैटरडे और संडे भी आपको नहीं देखना, बिकॉज experts are available on Saturdays and Sunday. So I'm sure you will accept my invitation of this particular thing also, that we are planning maybe in April. We will let you this inform to Atul also, we need some subject which need to be covered by the industry peoples. So this is
Ma'am,
all
I
about
would
it.
like to add one thing to your note. I mean, calling the industry people at your college and institutions, that's a great idea. And because, the students will definitely learn new things, and they will be, moreover, I would not say the hands-on, but at least they would know what is actually going and how the industries are working.
Exactly. True.
But there are 2 points which we can improve, or maybe we can work upon, which is
Now, Bhaskar, what happened? So we oftenly organize such kind of things in the campus, but somehow I feel whenever any of the workshop happen or maybe any guest lecture, then the takeaway is very, very less, because I don't know, students do not connect themselves, or they are not very, very much careful what is, speakers are talking about. So they need rigorous lab trainings.
yes, that's what my point was coming up. So you should be checking with the maybe MCN or maybe some other companies as well, how often they are conducting the internship program. And you should be very careful, I mean very specific to that internship program. Like if you are conducting all those programs, the student should be at least able to know how the environment of that industry, or maybe
So in that case, Bhaskar, I would really say that you motivate to our MCA student that they should go for internship, technical internship,
yes,
because whenever we announce these kind of internship also to the student, then they feel that they have to pay something and then they back out. So, but I feel that, this is the only time when you can, groom yourself, and which will pay you for the entire life.
absolutely. And the second part is, IMS can in fact, work on the incubation centers. So that will also help a lot. So,
Right.
the students who are actually, learning and studying there, quickly join that incubation center, and they will learn. Fine. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir.
So it's time to end the session. It was such a fruitful session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sakshi. Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Preeti ma'am. Thank you, Manju ma'am. Thank you, IMS.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.